Let's get it. This is Life's Essential Ingredients with Jeff and a Mike, where we hope to inform, inspire, and transform lives, one essential ingredient at a time. Welcome to the show. All right. My Pasho is back, and he still is looking very nice. Very excited for the show today. Special guest that Mike has known probably his whole life, I'm guessing. We didn't even get into all those details, but we'll work those out. Johnny Matesich, who is a young man of 83 years old. And I have just a few things to say right out of the gate, Johnny. Wow, and wow. And I'm just in awe that I get to spend probably the next hour with you. And I want to start out with a few nicknames that you have on your introduction. Uncle Johnny, King Uncle Johnny, King Argus, the Working King, the Irish Setter, the Real Baywatch, King of Time, Coach, and Mr. Delta. And we'll get into all those. Just a few achievements that Uncle Johnny has. He's very proud to be a dirtbag, and we'll come back to that one. A graduate of Long Beach State and a baseball player, obviously with the dirtbag reference. 30-year teaching career, coached tennis, cross country, and strength and conditioning. Had a short stint as a lifeguard, only 57 years. And we're not talking at a pool. We're talking the real deal at the beach, knocking out sharks, saving lives. He set 56 national titles for swimming, running, paddleboard, rowing, and surf ski. He's only ran 40 marathons, including the challenging Mount Everest in 1995. He's got 2 Ironmans under his belt in Hawaii. Since he was bored and at the young age of 60, he decided to take up boxing, was a trainer for the last 22 years. He's a photojournalist. In 2011, he was an inductee to the San Pedro Sports Walk, which is basically the equivalent of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's alongside with greats such as Tommy Lasorda. He's also in the Guinness Book of World Records for a team achievement of paddleboarding across the English Channel in less than 7 hours. And I need to go back and say again, wow, and wow. A quick history. Uncle Johnny was born in New Orleans to parents who immigrated from Croatia. And then he left when he was 4 to San Pedro. Uncle Johnny, welcome to the show.
Jeff, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very humbled from all those accolades. Oh my gosh. I have a reason for all those accolades. You want to hear the whole part about it?
I would love to. Yes, Johnny.
It comes in 2 words: grow young. They're all focused on growing young, don't grow old. So that was my motivation for all those different activities in my life.
And it's funny. Normally we start the show with a thought of the day, and you've achieved so much. I had to get into that stuff, but this is going to tie into your grow young. When the guests come on, I try and get to understand who they are. And I've had the good fortune of meeting you, but in researching and preparing for this, definitely Ralph Waldo Emerson's quote stood out to me. Without ambition, one starts nothing. Without hard work, one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you. You have to win it. What does that mean to you with your life? And I picked that quote because it seems like that's what you've done. You've had this passion, you've had hard work, you realize you need to go out and bust your butt to go out and get that prize. And here you are, 83 years old, just living your life and growing young. Uncle Johnny.
Jeff, I've always had a propensity to set goals for myself. All right, all the time. And when I achieve those goals, I sit down and then try to set new ones for me. So I'm a very goal-oriented person. I guess it's just been inbred of my parents. My parents grew up, they were immigrant parents, hard-working, blue-collar people, working all the time. And they would get me up early in the morning, uh, give me the chores. I did the chores, respected them, did all the things they told me to do, and try to just be the best person I can possibly be. And I carried that on into my later years and later life in my vocation as a lifeguard and as a teacher. So basically, it's a I'm just a very goal oriented person. It just comes natural to me.
It's definitely reflected, and you were blessed to have your parents do an amazing job in raising you. And speaking of amazing, my Pasho, and that's what's going to be so fun for me to kind of listen in to you two because you share your roots of being Croatian. And Pasho, why don't you welcome Uncle Johnny and share your thoughts?
Obviously, this is very special to me and actually my whole family. This is someone that's just been an incredible influence on the whole Sestich clan here. And I could even tell how excited my Pasha was because he's supposed to say a few words and introduce me to say hello. And he totally skipped over that because that's how excited we are to have you on here. And just so everyone knows, this is someone that's not just widely known here in little San Pedro. This is someone who I'm sure is known worldwide. And just to tell you how widely he's known and loved, I had the fortune of going to New Orleans, Uncle Johnny, recently to watch a LSU football game, and he flew me out there. This is what a great guy is, very generous. And on our way back, we're waiting in line to check in on the airport to get on our plane. And we're talking some LSU football. As everyone knows, last year we're national champions. And as we're sitting there, the guy in front of us, and in New Orleans, everyone just wants to chat. Southern hospitality, everyone's extremely nice. The guy in front of us turns around and he joins in our conversation, which is great. And all of a sudden he stops. He looks, he goes, "Hey, aren't you Uncle Johnny?" This is at the New Orleans airport.
I remember that. That's not normal. That's just an accident.
I'm going to disagree with you because wherever I go with you, they know you. So I'm going to disagree. But anyway, I just want to say how excited I am. And thank you for finally introducing me, Pasha. I appreciate it. And I also got to say, love the sweatshirt.
Oh, thank you, Pasho. Well, we have our USF connection, and I don't want to get too excited, but did you get, we just had the good fortune of interviewing Bill Cartwright, and I got this in the mail. Pasho, did you get one of these from Bill?
What?
You get one?
Wait, what?
Oh, Pasho, Bill's holding out on you.
What? Oh, that hurts. That hurts, Bill.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing. This is from my nephew Andrew gave it to me, but I say I gotta tease Pasha since we just had Bill Cartwright on, and for the listeners, yeah, he'll be coming on next week, January 5th. And I know Uncle Johnny, being a big sports fan, will want to listen into that. And Bill was amazing, but we need to get to the real deal right now, Uncle Johnny. Uncle Johnny, anything else that you want to share on your intro, or otherwise, I'm ready to get into the show and start asking you questions.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's focus on the project at hand rather than myself.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. First, let's get back. You talked about your parents and being an immigrant from Croatian, and you were born in New Orleans. Let's talk about your early, childhood, high school years. And again, Uncle Johnny, the title of this show is Life's Essential Ingredients. And the intent behind that is to take guests such as yourself who just have so many key components, key values, key ingredients in their life that have allowed you to achieve what you've achieved. And so we're just going to try and explore that subject matter over the next hour or so. And so looking back on your childhood, what did that look like? And I know you mentioned your parents were really hard workers. What were some essential ingredients at that time of your life that were key in you becoming a man that you are today?
Well, you got to remember that I grew up during war years, from 1941 through 1945. So life it wasn't easy in those days. We were restricted as far as food, butter, and specifically butter and meat and so forth, and tires. for the car, gasoline, everything was rationed. You'd go to the store and you'd have to have a little coupon in order to receive certain items. So it wasn't easy, but we got through it. We had a victory garden, which was, I think it contributed to my health so much. Everyone had a victory garden. They grew vegetables. We've had chickens. We had about a dozen chickens, Mike. By the way, Mike's a chicken owner. We made our own eggs, and we even had a goat. And anyway, let's get back to what they taught me, what my parents taught me. They were simple people from Croatia. Neither one went to college, but they taught me simple, basic, old school European social values like respect, especially for older people. And to this day, whenever I get into a crowded bus or crowded situation, I never sit down. And whenever I'm on a bus and a young lady or a woman gets on, I'm like a rabbit. I'm up on my feet, offering my seat to anyone younger than me. So that should be an automatic reflex. And that's what my parents taught me to respect. Not only respect for your elders, but respect for law enforcement officers, firemen, first responders, military personnel. Think about it. World War II, how many millions of veterans interrupted their lives and careers and sailed halfway around the world to fight and die for the freedoms that we enjoy today. So it's our responsibility to earn what they sacrificed for us and to be good American citizens. And that was my father always on every holiday would fly the American flag. Even though he wasn't born in this country, he was a absolute 100% proud American.
Yeah, no, that's so good to hear. And yeah, I hope we can, with all the challenges that we've been facing as a country recently, hopefully we can get back to those essential ingredients, those values that you just shared, and make those universal again, and welcoming for all people, because that's what the world needs. You know, again, one of the intents with this show of just trying to bring some awareness and get us back home to our roots. I want to get in briefly, Uncle Johnny, about how did you choose to become an educator? Because knowing you, your energy is off the chart, intelligence off the chart, work ethic off the chart, and I imagine you could have done anything that you wanted to do, but you chose education. Walk us through how you decided to be a teacher, and also the highlights and some of the essential ingredients that it takes to do that job.
Well, it all started back in the 11th grade in my U.S. history class. A teacher by the name of Van Gilder Waring. Mr. Waring was a dynamic history teacher. And I sat in his class and I used to listen and take in everything that he said. And then at the end of the semester, I said, you know what? I talked to my best friend, Victor Pappas, who was in the class with me. I told Victor, this is what I want to be in life. This is what I want to do. I want to teach history to young people. And I'll be darned, it's exactly the way it happened. I graduated from high school, went to Harvard College for 2 years, then to Long Beach State, did my student teaching, got a job at Banning High School, and then I ended up teaching for 30 years and doing the things that I really, really love to do. But it all came down to that one person. You take I call it the train of opportunity. I used to talk to my students about this. The train of opportunity stops at your station, and you have a choice of getting on or getting off. And if you get on, you can always get off at any point. But if you miss the train of opportunity, it doesn't have a reverse gear. The train just keeps going, and you've missed it. So when an opportunity presents itself, just be ready to take advantage and take care of that opportunity. And that's what I used to try to preach to my students. But there's also, by the way, another train. That's the train of doom. That's the train of doom, where they sell drugs and they talk about crime and so on and so forth. And that train goes straight to hell. So be sure you get on the right train at the right time.
So I got a question, Uncle Johnny. Banning High School is one of the rivals of San Pedro High School, where we went to school.
Even in the 50s when I went to school, Mike.
So how do you end up going to Banning? You're a Pedro guy. What happened?
Well, very simple, absolutely simple. I thought that I'd like to teach here in the harbor area, but I didn't want to specifically teach at San Pedro High School because I didn't want my students to see me going to church, shopping at the Bonds Market, doing my banking and so forth. I was about just be far away, close enough, but far away from home that students wouldn't see me, as a citizen or as a person. So I'm a kind of semi-private person. So I decided to what Banning High School is only what about 6 or 7 miles away, and it was the perfect place for me. Absolute perfect place.
Okay, that's a good answer. We'll accept that.
Yeah.
So back to your teaching career, Uncle Johnny, what did it take to do that job well? You did it again for 30 years and taught social studies. What did it take to do that job well?
Oh my gosh! First of all, you have to like kids. You know what I mean? You have to be kids oriented, and you got to think young. And be young. I used to let me get into something that I planned to share with you guys, and about life's essential ingredients is. You're all familiar with Johnny Wooden's pyramid of success, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
John Wooden at the UCLA. He had this pyramid of blocks, total of 25 blocks, and each building block was a character tool to achieve success. Well, I try to simplify this in my classes, when I taught my students, and I made it simplified as a baseball game. I would draw a diamond on the chalkboard and put four bases: home plate, first base, second place, third base. And I said the whole goal of baseball is to do what? Is to score, right? Get the first base, get the second, get the third, and then finally come to home. But I said there's qualifications. You just don't get first base. You have to earn it. And at first base, I would put the name or the word education. To get to first base, you have to be educated. And I told them that education is a lifelong process. It doesn't just come overnight. You have to work at it. And it's a long, long, long process. And once you get education, to get to second base, you can't get there unless you have health and fitness. Okay? Because if that's not a given. Being physical, you have to work at that also. Okay? And you have to, I've got a note right here. You must exercise daily, and the choice is yours. Run, swim, bike, walk, yoga, golf, whatever it is. Dance. You have to, your body craves it. So you must always do it. With no pain, there is no gain. So here you are on second base. Now you come to third base, and that's the hardest base of all. And on third base, I said you have to be social. You have to get along. Are you there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, we hear you, Uncle Johnny.
Oh, I got something. All right, you can hear, but I can't see you. I'll have to call Sophia. All right, now to get to third base, that's the social base. And that's hard to get to that base. That's the hardest base of all because you have to get along with others. People spend millions and millions of dollars trying to get their heads straight through therapy, medications, visit to the psychiatrist. I was fortunate enough, like I told you, to get my social skills for free from my Croatian parents. And we talked about respect and so forth. But they said not only respect, but you have to be polite. Manners can take you where money can't buy. Let me say that one more time. Manners can take you where money can't buy. And I learned that trait from all of my uncles and aunts, especially the ones in New Orleans, where Southern hospitality, as you well know, it's not a myth. It's a real deal. Let me go introduce you to two more of these social traits. Be generous, help the needy, be a giver, don't be a taker. I got a great motto. When you help others, good things happen. Not necessary for you, but for everyone in general. Learn how to smile. Learn how to get along with others. Smile is the greatest antidepressant on earth. Always inspired to be happy, especially when you meet people. Be humble. Remember, humility is a virtue. It's in the Bible. Nobody likes a braggart. and talent is God-given. So be humble. Always be positive. They talk about the half empty glass and a half full glass. I try to keep my glass always half full, and people will love you for it. Hate, eliminate that word from your vocabulary. Life is too short to waste the time hating anyone. So try to learn how to forgive people. And then finally, be honest. Even be honest beyond. Uh, no one likes a person that cheated or lies or steals. Even when you play golf by myself, I used to tell kids, I don't lie, I don't steal, and I don't cheat, even when I play golf. Be responsibility is a virtue also. And be thankful. Be thankful. And be yourself. John Papadakis and I always talked about staying in love. Uh, love with what? With life, with your parents, your friends, your cousins, your city, your country, your favorite football team, your clothes that you wear, everything. Stay in love. Anyway, all of these social traits that I just listed, I had them written down for you. They're not learned overnight. It takes a lifetime to perfect them, and you have to practice them over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. Let me tell you a real quick story. This is a great one. The first time I said no to my mother, I must have been about 6 or 7 years old, I think. Anyway, I don't remember the situation, but I remember saying no. And the next thing that I knew, I got hit by the quickest open-handed right cross across my face. I saw stars. I saw, I saw the world come to an end. And that's all it took for me. Never again did I ever say no to my mother. I might have said why, but never again did I ever say no again. But that's here nor there, because in those days, nowadays, that's frowned upon, and she probably could have got thrown in jail for what happened there. But anyway, that's what I think about these essential. We talk about essential ingredients for life. Those are just a few of those that I used to try to preach to my students. Some of them got it, some of them never looked at it. But if it reached 10%, I always told myself, you're doing your job.
Wow, those are great lessons. And I just got to relate to the guys, the Croatian background, the Croatian moms. Yeah, they don't look like much, man, but that hand comes out of nowhere and you learn quickly. Stay away from mom, stay on her good side.
Isn't that the truth, huh? It only took one for me. I'm a quick I'm a quick learner. Believe me.
Yeah, I'm not so smart. It took a lot more.
Uncle Johnny, those were amazing ingredients, virtues, values, morals, and thank you for sharing them. I love the love component of that, and that's going to actually guide us into the next little segment of the show that I want to talk about, and that's your lifeguarding career. And I know from doing a little bit of research on you that the Pacific Ocean is one of your loves. And I'm guessing that's why you had a 57-year career and why you've got all these national titles that get you out on the water. First of all, just tell us how you got started with lifeguarding and what was the attraction to that.
I've always been a beach person, and I've always loved the beach, and I love water and the pools. It all started in 1957 after baseball season at Harbor College. Well, let's back up. Let's back up to my teenage years. We would always go to the beach during the summer. I mean, almost like every day. We learned how to swim. We learned how to body surf. Surfing wasn't popular in those days, so we learned how to body surf. But we'd be there every single day. We'd end up with golden tans, and we went back to school in September, and we were just beach rats, basically. Well, anyway, let's fast forward to 1957 when I was at Harbor College, and baseball season just ended, and I went down to the beach every day after school and hung out with the lifeguards. We befriended a lot of lifeguards. One in particular named Bob Williams. So Bob one day said, he goes, Matty, you've been down here every single day in the summer and all your free time. Why don't you become a lifeguard? I said, well, I can't swim I'm not good enough swimmer. I'm a baseball player. I'm not a swimmer. He said, no, you can swim. You can just go in the pool, train, and take the lifeguard test, and maybe you'll pass and you become a lifeguard. So he planted a bug in my ear, and I did that. I went down to the YMCA. I swam about 50 yards, almost threw up. I said, I don't know if this is for me. But I was persistent. I set a goal for myself. So the first day I swam, 50 yards, and the second day I swam 150, then 200 and 400, finally swam 500, and finally 1,000, because that was a test, 1,000 meters. And believe it or not, after 2 or 3 months of hard training, I passed the lifeguard test. 1957, became a lifeguard, and it absolutely changed my life. You talk about that road, the path that you take, the road that you pass, and there's a division in the road, a Y in the road, and you take the one to the right. Well, that's what I did. That was lifeguarding. It was the absolute best decision I ever made in my life. It opened a whole new world for me, of being in the ocean, of helping people, primarily helping people, saving people's lives. I'm telling you guys, you have no idea the feeling of when you've been responsible of saving someone's life. It's the greatest feeling on earth that I shared. Lifeguarding is like a fraternity. We're all brothers, and we have a saying, lifeguards for life. And that's the saying that I carry with me to this day. I'm still a lifeguard for life. I still have my friends at the beach. I still go to the beach every morning. I do a lot of rowing. I think Mike knows that. I do a lot of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I always go down for a early morning row at 6:30 in the morning. Then I follow that up by going to the YMCA, getting a short swim, take a nice shower, and then I start my day. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go down for a paddle. Ended up going to do a little boxing. But it all ties together, okay? The physical and the mental and everything like that. So it's a big part of my life. It's all bottom line, big part of my life.
That is amazing. I actually have the good fortune, Uncle Johnny, of being a nurse. I don't know if you ever knew that, but I'm a registered nurse is what I do as a profession. And so I've been in the thick of it like you, of helping people and saving lives. And yeah, there is no feeling that can replicate that of saving.
Absolutely. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
And not that this ties into that, but I imagine there's a big part of you that's also very competitive with your sports background. And I would love to get into your national titles. And even before we do that, what does competition, mean to you? Not having seen you in the last year or so, and not knowing you that well, but in hearing you this morning on this show, I see a young man who just competes with himself each and every day. And I can guarantee you that is one of the things that drives you and gets you up in the morning, is that you set a goal for yourself and you go out and achieve it. But what does competition mean to you at this point in your life?
It's almost like a sickness, Jeff. I'm serious. It's almost like a sickness. I am so darn competitive. It started when we were, going to grammar school, playing tetherball, kickball, softball, football, touch. It started then, and it just perpetuates. It's got it like domino. It got that domino effect. Into high school, and into college, and then finally, when I became a lifeguard, I found out that lifeguards have these competitions once a year that called the National Lifeguard Competition. And there's competitions: swimming, running, paddling, rowing. What else is there? There's a flag. But basically, and they do it in age groups. So you don't have to be young in order to compete. You compete in age groups. So when you're in the 40s, you compete with 40s. When you're 50, you compete with guys in their 50s. So much fun. And I would actually train all year for that one weekend in August where we would compete. The beauty of it, that these different venues would change. It would go to the East Coast, to Cape May, New Jersey, Virginia Beach, and then we'd go south to Texas. We'd compete in Texas. We even competed in Chicago one year, in Lake Michigan. And one year, the highlight was competing in Hawaii, in Waikiki Beach, believe it or not. And we'd hold these lifeguard races, and the Los Angeles County Lifeguards, which undoubtedly is the greatest lifeguard service on earth, has won like 99% of all the competitions, only because we're so big and so talented, I think. But I don't know. It's almost like a sickness, competition for me, and I thrive in it. I just really thrive in competition to this day. To this day.
Yeah, well, definitely, that's, you started the show with growing young, and again, not to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing that is what one of the ingredients that keeps you young, because I'll save the other comments for when we get into the New Orleans segment. I do want to jump into, still stay with this competition piece, because I know you took up boxing at the age of 60. And again, so many times, life happens and things start to slow down. And I'll just use myself as an example. I wish I had your youthful spirit. But unfortunately for me, my body's starting to break down a little bit, and I couldn't even think about boxing. And here you are at 60, and I'm only 51, taking it up, and did so for 22 years. Walk us through how that started.
I tell you, boxing is my savior. I'm telling you right now, I've gone through all of it. I've gone through baseball. After baseball, I said, what am I going to do? I can't play baseball. I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. I had an opportunity to sign, but I also had an opportunity to sign a teaching contract at Banning. So I took the right choice, I think. Ended up being a coach and a teacher. But how do we get on competition? I decided to lifeguard. Hold on. Okay, we're sitting at a lifeguard station about 22 years ago, about 1998. Sitting there with Mark Lozano. It was a late afternoon. No one was in the water. It was a gloomy day. He said, go down, I want to teach you how to box. I said, oh my God, this is where I get my nose broken. But I did say, okay, let's go down. So for 30 minutes, Mark Lozano taught me how to throw a punch, throw a jab, a hook, a right. In 30 minutes, Mike and Jeff, I couldn't hold my hands up to my face. I couldn't keep my hands. I was shaking. In 30 minutes, I sweat more than if I ran 10 miles. And I said, where has this been all my life? Oh my God. In 30 minutes, I got a workout that I'd have to strain for hours to get. So I was hooked. I was hooked right from the get-go. And I'm still hooked. In fact, I boxed this morning. Boxed this morning at 8 o'clock with Mark, and he and I still go at it. Now, we don't try to hurt each other, mind you. We wear mouthpiece and headgear and so forth. But let me tell you how it helped other people. Once I learned how to box, he and I would put the word out that anyone that wants to learn how to box as a tool for conditioning and self-defense as a lifeguard will be more than happy to teach you. So we had a nice gym at the beach called the bathhouse. It's a huge, small gym, and we've taught hundreds, literally hundreds of lifeguards, male, female, and the children of lifeguards, and any of our friends that would like to join in. So that has become absolutely one of the great things in my life. I don't paddle anymore like I used to competitively. I don't bike like I used to competitively. I don't do triathlons. I don't run anymore because I had a knee replacement. So boxing now has taken over for me as my number one exercise, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely thrive in it.
Well, speaking of number one, I know you have lots of places that you love to travel, and we're going to get to that shortly. But I know New Orleans is home, your place of birth, where everything started for you. First of all, just share your thoughts on New Orleans, and then I want you to get into Mardi Gras and what that means to you, and then I want you to talk about what happened to you in 2015. where you were selected King Argus, and we'll get into all that in this little segment. But get us started with just what does New Orleans mean to you?
What it means to me is the greatest city, in my opinion, in the world. The greatest fun city. I should add that to it. The greatest fun city in the world, where every weekend of the year, almost every day, but every weekend of the year, there's a festival or some sort of a celebration. And I am absolutely blessed to be connected to New Orleans because my cousins, the Civitanovich family, own one of the greatest restaurants in New Orleans called Drago's. It's a legendary restaurant, and they are connected to everything that happens in that city. In fact, Drago's younger son, Jerry, is the coroner of New Orleans, so I'm connected with the coroner's office as well as with Drago's restaurant. But anyway, New Orleans to me is a vibrant city. You know, it has the greatest food, the greatest music, the greatest spirit of any city in the world. I mean, it is absolutely the fun capital of the world. But I could never live there, and I'll tell you why. Because in the 2 or 3 years, you'd have to weigh about 300 pounds with all that butter and all that good food that they serve. And so you gotta pace yourself in New Orleans. You got to go there for 3 or 4 days and get your butt out of there because it could overtake you. Anyway, New Orleans. Let's talk about Mardi Gras next. Would you like to
Yeah.
get my take on Mardi Gras? Mardi Gras, obviously, is the center of Mardi Gras in the United States is New Orleans, and it is known for New Orleans. And I first attended a Mardi Gras celebration about 40 years ago when I was about 40 years old. And I said, oh my God, where has this been all my life? You know, where it's just party nonstop for 6 straight days. And it's clean fun. When I go to Mardi Gras, I don't hang out in Bourbon Street where all the drunks are and people are throwing up in the alleys and yuck. No, we do it right. We go to the balls. We bring our tuxedos. The women bring their long gowns, and we go to balls and enjoy it that way. And then we ride on parades. There's art. I'm hooked into the crew of Argus. Let me first of all explain. First of all, Mardi Gras is all about crews. Krewe. They're social clubs, over 55 of them in the city, and each one of them celebrate Mardi Gras in a different way. They throw a parade, they have a ball, and they celebrate Mardi Gras through almost 6 weeks. So Mardi Gras is not just one day or one weekend. It goes for 6 weeks during February, 40 days before Easter. Well, let's back up. 40 days before Easter is Ash Wednesday. So starting in January, people start celebrating and getting ready for Fat Tuesday, and that's when everything stops on Fat Tuesday because Ash Wednesday, everybody goes on a fast. But Mardi Gras is for me is Argus, and I was again because I was connected to the Civitanovich family, and Drago was a king, Tommy was a king, Jerry was a king. They said, Johnny, you've got to be a king of Argus. I said, no, 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 I don't want to be a king of Argus. That's no. You were born in New Orleans, and uh, you belong to be a king. And I said, okay, I'll be a king on one condition, that your daughter, Tommy, your beautiful 18-year-old daughter is my queen, which she was, Madeline Civitanovich, my beautiful queen. Incidentally, she's getting married in January 23rd, and I'm looking forward to that wedding. But being a king of Mardi Gras, guys, was one of the highlights of my life. Seriously, one of the 2 or 3 highlights of my life, where for 4 days I was king of the city of New Orleans. And I've met so many great people. I rode in a parade. I must have thrown out thousands and thousands of beads on the streets of New Orleans. And believe me, it was an experience of a lifetime. They told me it would be, and it was. And all that reluctancy that I had, I put it aside, and I really totally enjoyed myself. But anyway, it was a real treat. Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, New Orleans.
I also got to add here, just so everyone knows, and like myself, I'm sure everyone is wondering how you fit all this stuff in your 83 years so far, but I've got to add another one that Uncle John is legendary for, is every year for Mardi Gras, he takes a group, usually most people from San Pedro, but they come from all over the world to meet him in New Orleans. And Uncle Johnny has it all planned out from the historical sites they're going to see, the balls they're going to go, parades, where they're going to eat. He plans the whole thing out every year. You don't have to do any planning. You just got to show up. That's it. And I think
I
that's such
tell them
an
to
incredible thing.
show up with a suitcase at LAX, and they'll take care of everything else. No, that's something that I really enjoyed doing for about 30 years. Seriously, you take people, mostly friends, my lifeguard friends, personal friends. The word gets out that Uncle Johnny's going to Mardi Gras this year, and get on the list. And usually stop at 30. Sometimes I'll go a little over 30, but the first 30 people that ask to go, I take them. They don't have to do anything. They just show up and pay me the bill of fare, and everything's taken care of. The hotels, dinners, tours, balls, riding on parades. Everything is taken care of. When I was king, I had 228 people from Los Angeles and around the United States that came and enjoyed Mardi Gras with me that year. 228 people. We had 4 buses, Mike and Jeff, 4 buses that would tool them around everywhere. And those who went said it was an experience of a lifetime, and it truly was. It was really, really something special.
Yeah, I've heard about that. And my question is, and just so everyone's clear, you don't charge anyone for this. You do it out of the goodness of your heart. My question is why? Because it's a lot of planning, especially with a lot of people. Why do you do it?
I just introduced them to New Orleans. I just was, because I'm so proud of the city where I was born. I love New Orleans, and I just wanted to tell them. Let me tell you why. I'll tell you why right now. When the first night that we get there, when we land at the airport, we get in our bus and we take it to Drago's restaurant and we sit them down, and then Tommy takes over and he serves them a typical Drago's seafood bill of fare. You know, jumbo, oysters, fish, jambalaya, every shrimp, and I mean, it, it costs thousands of dollars, literally thousands of dollars for 30 people to sit, including drinks. And you know what Dragos charges us? Nothing. He said, just leave a tip for your waiter. Holy mackerel. So I took a key from them. You know what I'm saying? I said, if Tommy is nice enough to do that for us, you know, I'm going to take people to New Orleans, and I just want to introduce them to this city, and not going to charge them anything. I'm not going to. I just want them to enjoy the experience, and for them to go back to their origin, back to their city, and tell them all about New Orleans, what a great city it is.
Man, that's just amazing. And the little bit that I have got to know you, Uncle Johnny, just so appreciate your generosity and just how you always are going the extra mile. And I think
You gotta be a giver, Mike, not a taker. Huh? Giving gives me more pleasure. Giving more than receiving, right? I mean, everybody has that trait. It's blessed to
I,
give and then to receive.
yeah, I wish everybody had it. And I think we can bring it out of everybody, but it takes, people like you, me and Mike, and hopefully some of the listeners just being willing to go first and take that
You
step.
lead by example. Lead by example, right? That's my key.
Yep. And the last example that I'll bring up with your New Orleans time was when you were king and you reached out to the Zulu king, Pete Sanchez, and you gave him some goggles. And I don't know if you remember this, but this just kind of talks about the person that you are. And you gave him those goggles because his father had the pool in the lower ninth ward named after him. And it was just a little thing to make that connection that I'm sure Pete still has those hanging up somewhere in his house or somewhere where they mean something really important because you made that connection. And that's what you do. You make people feel really good. So do you remember what I'm talking about right there, Uncle Johnny?
You guys, you little CIA, You guys like the FBI. How did you know about Pete Sanchez in those goggles? Come on. Oh my God, that was a long time ago. No, Pete Sanchez, what a great guy. He was the king of Zulu. And every year, Argus, my crew, Argus, meets with Zulu as a goodwill. You know, it's an all black, by the way. Zulu is an all black crew, and basically Argus is 90% white. But anyway, we get together and we share, our kingship together, and the queens in our court. We share it together, and we have a nice afternoon together. But I gave Pete these goggles because this pool, he says he's going to start swimming because the pool's named after him. So anyway, I gave him these goggles, and I hope he used them, doggone it. But but how'd you find that out? I'm curious.
Yeah, we got people all over the place, Uncle Johnny.
Oh my God.
I have one more thought. Again, this just kind of summarizes who you are and the love that you have of New Orleans. And this is something that you had said to somebody. I can't let you in on my sources, but every spectator who comes to New Orleans is part of the play. And if you take away one of those parts, one of those spectators, there is no Mardi Gras. And that's just, I get goosebumps thinking about that as I read that to you, because and we had the good fortune of doing the red dress run, and we're not even going to get into that. And I'm not going to put up any pictures or anything, but just imagine Mike and myself. Mike's 6'7", I'm 6'8", with chicken legs, and we're running around. I'm looking like olive oil on this red dress run. But I get goosebumps back to what you said right there. Because you bring that energy and you make people feel like if they're not present, these things won't be able to go on. And then to read that and you saying that, again, just get goosebumps. And you remember saying that? And tell me about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I said, you guys are just as big as part of Mardi Gras as a spectator as the king of Mardi Gras. And everybody's in this play. It's called the play of Mardi Gras. And everybody that comes to New Orleans is an actor in this play. And it's just all part of it. We all mix together. I got a great saying about a play in life. And I tell this to all my students, that life is a one-act play. And this is not a dress rehearsal. I'll say it one more time. Life is like a one-act play, and this is not a dress rehearsal. And by the way, it's a short one-act play. So be in it and be sure you get the best out of it.
I love that. I love that. And that's a great segue to the next part of the show. And one of the millions of things that you're amazing at is being a photojournalist. And I got a couple other nicknames I'm going to throw out to you: the Travel King and Mr. Delta. And I know, again, from sources way up in Delta Airlines, we're going to give them a little plug on the show, that you've traveled over 1 million miles on Delta alone. And I don't even know if people understand how many airports and car rentals and plans to organize and tickets to buy. That is a lot of miles. So I want to get in. Well, first I want to ask you a crazy question, Uncle Johnny. If you had to introduce yourself to someone you don't know, what place that you traveled to best represents you, your spirit, and kind of why? And I'm going to repeat that again because it's a weird question. If you had to introduce yourself to someone you don't know, what place that you traveled to best represents you and your spirit, and why?
That'd be Australia. That's not even a second thought. Australians, they love America. They fought with us during World War II. So they're one of the few countries in the world that admire Americans. And it's hard to say how many countries admire us. Not very many, especially nowadays. But Australians are so much like Americans. Australia is like America in the 50s. That's what I tell everybody. You know, they're like 30 years, 30, maybe more years behind us in their values, great values, solid religious values. And they love life. They have a saying, get this one, life, be in it. I say it one more time. They had them on the billboards, and I saw it and I said, that's for me. Life, be in it. And that speaks volumes, you know, about life. They're 90% of the cities in Australia are on the beach, on the coast, right? Mostly on the coast. Australia is a huge continent, but they're beach people. They're outdoor people. They love life. They love beer. They love to celebrate. They love to sail. They love to travel around the world. You'll always see Europeans when you're in Europe. You'll see Australians in Europe with backpacks with a little, you know, the Australian flag on their backpack, and they're known for traveling the world. They usually say this: they graduate from high school, then they go on the road for 2 or 3 years, and then they settle into college and a career and settle into life, get married, have kids, and so on and so forth. But travel is one of the big parts of their lives. But without a doubt, Mike and Jeff, Australia is that country that I admire the most, like myself.
All right, let's get into, and I've had the good fortune of seeing when we did do the red dress run and seeing your emails, and I would love for you to tell the listener.
Did you tell our listeners? Did you tell our listeners about what the red dress run's about?
No, we might go ahead. You can share that real quick, and then we'll get into your photojournalism.
Okay, real quick, folks. The red dress run. I mean, like I told you, every weekend in the year, New Orleans has a festival. And in August, it's the red dress run. It's the second week in August. The red dress. Everybody dresses in a red dress. Male, female, kids, old, young, skinny, fat, overweight. Everybody gets in a red dress. And you're supposed to run 3 miles, but normally you walk while you jump in a bar along the way, and you spend the next 2 hours drinking beer and dancing and singing with people. But thousands, literally 25, 30,000 people are dressed in red dresses, and it's a festival that goes on from 8 in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the evening, and it's one of the better weekends in New Orleans. That's the red dress run, basically.
Yeah, I think we better stop talking about it before people start looking up for pictures of us in red dresses. We don't need that.
Start going to the Goodwill dress. Where
The funny story about that, Uncle Johnny told me about that, and he goes, "You need to get a red dress." And I didn't question it. I went to get a red dress and told my pasha the same thing. And it's not a question why. It's like, you need a red dress. It's like, okay, come from Uncle Johnny. We're getting a red dress. Let's go.
just get it and show up.
Yeah, that was definitely a great weekend. But let's get in, John. I know you've traveled all over the world. I know you're a goal setter. And before we get into some of the places that you've been, because that's a longer list than probably your bucket list. Where are places that you still need to get to before the big fella calls you home?
Well, you know, people have asked me, you know, where's your favorite place on earth? You know, and I said, no, excuse me, let me back up. They said, where have you been? Excuse me, I got it all mixed up, because where have you been, Uncle Johnny? I said, don't ask me that. Ask me where I have not been. That's a short list. And that list is now whittled down to about, I would say a dozen to 15 places that are real high on my list. One of them is the Amazon River. And as soon as this pandemic is over, I've got plans for the Amazon. I just have to get a safe period of time in order to go there. But the Amazon has always been on my list, as was Patagonia in South America. I haven't been to the Patagonia. I've been to Antarctica and most places in South America, but the Patagonia is high on my list. Where else? Madagascar, the island of Madagascar is high on my list. I haven't been to Sicily, of all places, Mike. I've never been to Sicily. In fact, I had tickets to go to Sicily this year, along with Malta, Sardinia, and Corsica. And of course, because of the pandemic, that was canceled. Uh, where else? Where else? South America, Asia. Oh, Tibet, the Dalai Lama, Lhasa, where the Dalai Lama used to hold court. Tibet. I have not been to Tibet. Uh, South America, Asia. I haven't been to the Northeast United States, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia. I haven't been in those areas. That's basically, telling you the truth, that's just basically it. Those 5 or 6 places are real high on my list.
Yeah, well, that's going to be amazing, and definitely, we hope that you get there. And I think you can knock out a lot of those when you go to Italy. It sounds like, I don't know how far those are apart, but you might be able to take 4 or 5 of those off the list with that trip.
Yeah, Cinque Terre is, I forgot to mention Cinque Terre in Italy. That's on the coast. There's five villages along the coast there.
Yeah,
Cinque Terre is high on my list.
I'm not going to get long, but we've been on that trip, and that was amazing. You'll definitely enjoy that.
No kidding. Oh boy, yeah, I got to get some good points on that from you.
Yep. But I want to get into what you do when you're on one of these trips, because I was, and maybe this is the only experience that I have, was our red dress run and our time that we had together in New Orleans. But you must have snapped like a million pictures. I mean, you were like the Tasmanian devil. We were going around, and you would take out your phone, snap a pic, talk about it, know all the history about it somehow, and then go on to the next thing. And then we're still trying to figure out, where are you? And then we just look to the left and we see some dust kind of moving around. Oh, there he goes. And then we sprint and try and catch up to you. What is your game plan when you go to places with capturing the essential ingredients of that place, and then you do these most amazing write-ups that you send out, and it's just such a breath of fresh air and so enjoyable to see the pictures and to read what you write, and you are so talented that way. But what is going on in that mind when you're entering a new place?
There's a reason behind all of that, Mike. Believe it or not, I'm absolutely paranoid about getting dementia and Alzheimer's. Absolutely paranoid about it, and I'm taking the approach that the mind is like a muscle. It's just like your bicep, and you've got to exercise it, or it will go dead on you, right? It'll get atrophy. So I try to keep my mind as busy as I possibly can. Another thing is, I'm very passionate about photography. And it all started when I was teaching school. I said, kids learn easier when they see something rather than when you lecture to them. Okay? So when I taught history, I always included slides of all the places that we were talking about in the history books. I went over and out. I tell you, I got thousands and thousands of slides. I run into students today and say, Mr. Matt, I don't remember a damn thing you taught me, but I sure enjoyed those slides that you showed in our history class. So anyway, when I start traveling, when I got retired, I started thinking, you know what? I can carry this one step further. I don't have to stop teaching. I can still continue to teach while I'm traveling. So I'll take pictures. The greatest thing, by the way, that's ever invented was a digital camera. Because in the olden days, we had film camera negatives. You could only take 36 pictures out of a roll. Now you can take 3,600 pictures on a photo chip. So when I started traveling with this digital camera, I started taking pictures. I said, you know what? I can make a story out of these pictures. All right, from start to the end. And that's what I remember you said, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? What did he take that picture for? And what did he do that picture? It's all about a story. All right, an introduction and an ending. So whenever I go on a trip, I'm always thinking in my mind to create a story about that country or that location that I'm going to. And then finally, when I get home, I I delete all the pictures that I don't think of that are significant in the story. I end up with about 85 to 90 photos, and then I comment and chronicle each photo, describing what it is, where it is, and its significance as far as history is concerned. To me, that is still teaching people and sharing my knowledge to other people, which gives me great pleasure.
Hmm. Yeah, you couldn't have said that any better, Uncle Johnny. And that is definitely, as one of your students from reading and looking at the pictures, you're amazing at it. And yes, you are the master teacher and continue to educate people all over the world. And so I thank you for that. Uh, Different question. I don't know if you had the good fortune of meeting this gentleman. I'm sure hoping so, because I know he's got to mean something to you, because I see a lot of similarities in you and him, other than the time that you were born. But Louis Zamperini, I know you have to know that name because he's from Torrance. And he was the Torrance Tornado, 1936 Olympian, and World War II prisoner of war. Did you ever cross paths with him? And what does that name mean to you? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, and I know you're looking for a picture that I can see that you probably have that you took with him.
It's about 10 feet away from me, but I've lost.
Go grab it.
Do you see me right now?
See you. Go grab the picture.
Okay, hold on, I'll grab it.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you even for a sec think that he might not know him?
No. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna give him an outgo.
Can you guys see this? Should I raise higher, lower?
Raise it up a
Higher.
little. Raise it up, Uncle Johnny.
How's that?
That's great. Oh, nice.
And his signature?
Yep.
Yeah, we see it.
All right. Give us a story now behind it and tell us what Zamperini means to you.
Well, Zamperini means everything. I was blessed to teach with his brother, Pete Zamperini, who was his older brother. And Pete and I taught together at Banning High School for many, many years. As a matter of fact, Pete sold me my first house, my 21 Mustang Road house for me. But have you read The Devil at My Heels, or what's the other title there?
No, I just read Broken.
Devil at My Heels was his biography of his life as a runner at USC, at Torrance High School, at USC, and then in the Olympics, where he personally met Hitler, and he climbed up a flagpole and got the Nazi flag. He almost got thrown in jail for that. And then when he was on the raft for 43 days on a raft, he made a vow to God that if he ever got through this ordeal, that he would dedicate his life to Jesus Christ, which he did after the war ended. And then he, of course, had this church and a camp up in the high Sierras where he taught kids how to ski and taught them about the mountain, the life in the mountains and so forth. He was an inspiration to everybody. I think he received the presidential citation, presidential medal of honor. But he's one of my idols. One of my heroes, I could say, in life. Truly one of my heroes in life.
Yeah, no, that movie, that book, Unbroken, for me was
Unbroken. I couldn't think of the damn name. Yeah, it's Unbroken. But the first book was called Devil at My Heels. That's the original, and then Unbroken by Hilligrand. What's her name? Hillary.
I don't have it for me, but I should know.
Yeah, Hillary.
But yeah,
Hilligrand.
A little piece on Zamperini, and he was talking about forgiveness, and from what the bird, I don't know if that whole what led him to being an alcoholic, but definitely those challenges had to be very difficult to overcome. But did you get to talk to him at all when he came back, Uncle Johnny?
No, he used to speak to groups. And whenever I had an opportunity, I would go and listen to him speak. He's a graduate from USC, and he's a real diehard USC guy. So the last time I heard him speak was at a USC function. I think it was a coaches club or something where he spoke, and everybody got his autograph. And everybody idolized him. And he's such a calm, quiet kind of a guy. You know what I mean? Very energetic. I think he lived to be 94, if I'm not mistaken, 94, 95. But he had a life of, very active life. He skied well into his 80s and enjoyed the outdoors. And he never lost it mentally. He was sharp as a tack to the day he died. Just a great human being. Great human being.
Well, that's how I think I want to wind up this show. I'm going to let my Pasho have some closing comments. But when Mike told me that we were going to have the good fortune to interview you, and I had the good fortune of meeting you, when we went to New Orleans together, and I was so excited, as you can tell by the start of the show. But just when you get to meet people that know they're going to make your life better, that's who you are. And that's reflected in all the actions that you take, and obviously by all the achievements that you've set out to achieve for yourself. And listening to you, to how you set a goal, and then you're not going to be denied till you go get that. And I know you have a few more things on your list of achievements that you want to accomplish, and I have no doubt that you're going to get them done. But I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come on the show. You were an amazing guest. You've done so many great things for the hundreds, if not thousands, of students that you've taught, all the people across your travels. I know you always bring great energy to them, and I will very much look forward to when our paths cross again. But thank you so much, Uncle Johnny, for being on our show. Pasho, why don't you get us out of here, and then we'll let Uncle Johnny have some closing remarks, and that'll be a wrap.
Well, as discussed previously on the show, how much we love Uncle Johnny, how much he means to our family. And you heard it from me, and you heard it when my daughter Nella was on here, what an inspiration he is, and what a driving force he is in her life right now. And nothing but love for you, Uncle Johnny. And I just, I'm terrible at quotes, but there is one, and I know I'm going to butcher it, but I hope you guys know what it means. And when I think of this quote, it's Uncle Johnny to me all the way. And the quote goes, I know I'm going to get it wrong, but it says, some people delight when you arrive in a room, and some people delight when you leave a room. And Uncle Johnny, when he arrives, it's nothing but delightful for everyone. And when he leaves, we are miserable when he's gone. So I thank you for that. Thank you for being on the show, and can't wait to see you real soon in person.
Great. Let me end with this. And I always told and preached this to my students, that I always preach to them, that even to the athletes and students academically alike, try to be the very best person that you can be. When I end my prayers, I ask God to help me be that exactly, the best person. And you have to have God's help sometimes to be the absolute best person that you can possibly be. Give it your best shot. Life is an exciting adventure. It's a great ride. And it should be full of joy and happiness if you preach all of these lifelong essential ingredients. And remember, you are in charge of your happiness. You alone are in charge. So don't screw it up. Nice to talk to you guys. It's been a real honor and a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Uncle Johnny, and thank you, listeners, for checking out Life's Essential Ingredients with our very good guest, Uncle Johnny. Thank you. We're out. Pasho, boom, that just happened.
It just happened. That was incredible. Wow.